Wherefore, Series 2, Episode 43. No one has informed the vermin that the wassail has been cancelled. Not that anyone normally invites the vermin along, it just turns up. And so, on the day that should have been the wassail, the vermin just turns up as usual. It is full of rage and teeth, but rapidly also bemusement. Where are the tiny bells that infuriate it? Where are the people? What on earth is it going to fail to bite? It has a go at a few of the pigeons, and even they are clever enough to quickly work out that for all its posturing, the strange beast cannot hurt them. For those of you who have not previously met the vermin, let me try to explain. It appears to be a composite creature and has many teeth and claws. Not everyone can see it, and while it invariably tries to bite everyone, it tends to be wholly ineffective. It has reasons to be angry. Largely it is composed of creatures who died simply because they had been declared vermin and had a bounty on their corpses. Why the vermin only appears for the wassail is a bit of a mystery. The wassail itself is a modern event and has no connection to the history of this angry ghost. Perhaps there is something about the beast parade that annoys it. Maybe it cannot abide Morris dances. Whatever the reason, the absence of the wassail does not make it any happier. The wizard Whitminster has stationed herself at the bottom of the high street. This is her usual location for viewing the beast parade as it passes. She has been waiting for the vermin, and when it appears, she has to jog to get ahead of it. When she moves, it is apparent that she has bells about her person. Stroud is the sort of place where a wizard can jog up the high street of a Saturday morning while tinkling, and no one will make much of it. Such things happen all the time, and who wants to risk revealing that they didn't realise it was some sort of performance art? This is also a classic Whitminster plan. She's given a lot of care and attention to the first few moves. She has a feeling the outcome could be interesting and useful. But as ever, she's only invested a few moves ahead of what's happening, and there is no contingency planning for if things get out of hand. She has not asked where the plan might go wrong. Whitminster jingles merrily up the street, and the vermin follows in her wake, snapping all of its teeth at her. It is far more alarming to be followed by the vermin than to merely see it go by. It has tried to bite Whitminster before, and she knows it can't actually hurt her, but even so, the pursuit makes her anxious. This is something she didn't anticipate, and the only thing Whitminster can do is stick with what plans she has and hope for the best. She trots briskly down the road, tinkling as she goes and trying to stay far enough ahead of the vermin to feel comfortable. It helps that the town is quiet. There aren't so many people to navigate around or who might slow her down. The beast parade doesn't usually visit the train station, but apparently the vermin isn't too bothered about such details. Whitminster takes a sharp left at the station, heading past the parked cars and down to the shining glory in Stroud's cultural crown. A building designed by that most prestigious of historic gentlemen from the southwest of England, Isambard Kingdom Brunel. The man famous for the ship the SS Great Britain, for a tunnel under the Thames, and the engineering wonder that is the Clifton Suspension Bridge. Although the bridge was actually designed by a woman, Sarah Guppy. History has a nasty habit of not noticing women who do things. What marvel of the Victorian era did the great man bestow upon Stroud? A good shed. Gaze upon it in wonder and admiration, for it is upright. In recent years, the goods shed has been operating as a venue, but of course in lockdown the place hasn't seen much use, apart from the wizards using it to contain the interdimensional menace of the jazz cyclist. This is the point at which the wizard Whitminster's plan gets a bit hazy and light on detail. Even so, she has persuaded Tim and Winklepicker to come along and help. Well, persuaded them in the sense that neither can stand not knowing how this plays out. Whitminster runs in through one of the doors. The vermin follows. Tim closes the door behind them both. It occurs to Whitminster only after she is in the building that they could easily trap her in here with the vermin and the jazz cyclist. She can hear the tortured strains of an unhappy clarinet start up, slightly out of kilter with an emerging salsa beat. She breaks out in a cold sweat. Behind her, the vermin howls with all of its many faces. It is dark in the good shed, and for a tortured time of uncertain length, Whitminster cannot remember where the doors are, and entirely forgets that she is a wizard. The second fact occurs to her first, and she makes a light. The inside of the building is nightmarish, full of angry jazz and angry teeth. She has to make a conscious effort to find the walls, and then the doors become apparent. Getting them open is unreasonably hard. She escapes, trapping her latest victim in the building. It isn't easy to describe the sounds made by a many-headed creature getting into a fight with an entire jazz band that is somehow riding on just the one bicycle. It finishes with something that sounds like a single snare drum bouncing down a hill and crashing into a badger. Then there is silence. "That went well," says Winklepicker, and Whitminster finds herself too tired and shaken to argue. Later in the day, the wizard Wambleforth leads a tiny wassail into the streets. Traditions are an important part of the fabric of reality. Keeping something alive is of vital importance, and so they have bribed a young man with promises of beer, and he dances through the street as a giant sackcloth boar. The man in the moon plays tunes, and as this is a boar and not a cow, no problematic jumping occurs, and no spoons are affected. The weaver follows along behind them, innocuous in a loose hoodie, and gently tracing the wassail threads into the town.